This small nickel in your pocket could be hiding a massive secret, because the 1990 Jefferson nickel is not just spare change. It's a piece of American history forged in silence, packed with untold stories, shocking minting anomalies, and a hidden value that only true collectors know about. So, get ready to uncover why this ordinary-looking coin could be worth far more than you ever imagined, and why the year 1990 changed everything for the Jefferson nickel forever. Old coins' value. Today we are diving deep into the world of American coinage history and exploring the full story behind one of the most overlooked yet intriguing coins in American history, the 1990 Jefferson nickel. This is not just about a 5-cent piece. It is about a coin that holds a rich legacy, tied to decades of American economics, minting evolution, and collector mystery. The 1990 Jefferson nickel represents more than currency. It represents a timeline of change in minting technology, political symbolism, economic design, and the enduring influence of Thomas Jefferson on United States coinage. Now let's go back in time and build this history from the ground up, starting with the origin of the Jefferson nickel in 1938 and traveling all the way through to the 1990 issue and its place in American numismatic lore. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938 as a replacement for the Buffalo nickel, which had reached the end of its authorized design period. The United States Mint announced a public competition for a new design that would honor Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. The winning design was created by sculptor Felix Schlag, whose work featured a left-facing portrait of Jefferson on the obverse and his Monticello estate on the reverse. This design was chosen not only for its artistic merit, but also for its symbolism. It reflected America's founding principles, its architectural heritage, and the ideals of liberty and leadership that Jefferson embodied. From its introduction in 1938 through to the 1980s, the Jefferson nickel remained largely unchanged, with only minor variations in font spacing and mint marks. However, there were a few notable exceptions, such as the silver alloy nickels produced from 1942 to 1945 during World War II, when nickel was a critical war material, and the temporary redesign to add large mint marks above Monticello to signify the wartime composition by the 1980s. Numismatics was shifting with technology, becoming more refined, die polishing techniques, changing and minting machinery, advancing significantly. These changes began to influence the look and feel of everyday coins, including the Jefferson nickel. By the time we reached 1990, the Jefferson nickel had seen decades of consistent minting, but there were undercurrents of change in the United States Mint, and these changes manifested in subtle but important ways that year. For example, the 1990 nickel was struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with the majority coming from Philadelphia. The coin was made from a standard composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel struck on a copper-nickel-clad planchet. The diameter was 21.21 millimeters, with a plain edge and a total weight of 5 grams. The obverse continued to feature Jefferson's bust facing left with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust Liberty," and the date, while the reverse showed Monticello along with the inscriptions, "E Pluribus Unum, United States of America," and 5 cents. However, there is much more than meets the eye when it comes to the 1990 Jefferson nickel. The real fascination comes in the die varieties, and strike-quality coins of this year display a wide range of strike characteristics, especially when compared to earlier decades. Collectors often note that the quality of strike on 1990 nickels varies significantly, with some examples exhibiting very weak details, especially around Jefferson's hair and Monticello's steps. This makes full steps nickels from 1990 highly sought after. Full steps refers to nickels where all the steps on Monticello's front portico are fully struck and visible with no breaks or weakness in the design. This level of detail is difficult to find in circulation strikes and thus fetches a premium among collectors. The full steps variety is one of the most studied aspects of Jefferson nickels in general, but particularly in the 1990 issues, because this was a period where the U.S. Mint was balancing production volume with die life. often allowing dies to strike more coins before being replaced, which reduced overall strike quality. So when a high-quality strike from 1990 appears with full steps, it indicates either an early die state or exceptional handling, and is significantly more valuable in the numismatic market examples graded by PCGS or NGC with full steps designation, especially in mint state 66 and above, can be worth hundreds of dollars depending on eye appeal luster and surface preservation. Beyond the full steps variety, another fascinating angle is the examination of die cracks, die clashes, and cut errors which are found in a number of 1990 nickels. Die cracks are small raised lines on the coin resulting from fractures in the die, and these can be found near Jefferson's eye across the field or along the rim of the coin. Die clashes, where the dies strike each other without a plancher in place, can leave ghost-like images of Monticello or Jefferson's profile in unusual places, and cut errors, where a piece of the die breaks off, leave blank unstruck areas on the coin's surface. These error coins are treasured by collectors and can multiply the value of a 1990 nickel many times over. Another important element of the 1990 nickel story is mintage numbers and survival estimates. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 661 million nickels in 1990, while the Denver Mint produced around 609 million. This was a time of massive coin production, and most of these coins were struck for general circulation. However, due to wear damage and attrition, relatively few high-grade 1990 nickels survive today, particularly with pristine luster and sharp detail. This makes high-grade and error examples from this year even more important to collectors who specialize in modern coinage. The proof version of the 1990 nickel was struck at the San Francisco Mint, and these coins bear the S Mint mark and were sold to collectors in proof sets. Proof nickels are specially struck using polished dies and planchers and are not meant for circulation. These coins exhibit mirrored fields, frosted devices, and sharp details. The 1990 S-proof nickel is common in standard condition, but becomes more desirable in deep cameo or perfect PR70 condition due to the strict grading requirements imposed by third-party grading services. The coinage of 1990 also occurred during a transitional period in U.S. minting history, when digital die engraving was being explored and traditional hand engraving methods were being phased out. This shift eventually led to redesigns and modernization in the early 2000s, including the Westward Journey series of nickels starting in 2004. But in 1990, we were still witnessing the last of the traditional Jefferson design being produced in the classic style, and this adds historical weight to the coin for collectors who cherish old-style minting and traditional portraits. As the 1990 Jefferson nickel ages into deeper numismatic maturity, more collectors are beginning to look back on this coin with renewed interest. It is no longer just pocket change. It is a snapshot of American coinage as it stood on the brink of modernization. It is a reminder of Thomas Jefferson's lasting legacy, his influence not only in politics and architecture, but in coinage design and representation. The 1990 nickel stands as a gateway coin, easy to overlook but filled with layers of history, technological evolution, and collectible potential. Collectors today are advised to search for high-grade business strike nickels with full steps or notable errors. These examples should be sent for certification to maximize their value and to authenticate their condition for resale or auction. The certified market for Jefferson nickels has grown steadily in the last decade, with increasing recognition of the rarity and challenge of finding high-grade examples from circulation years like 1990, which were not initially saved in large quantities by collectors. The future of the 1990 Jefferson nickel in the collector world is bright, especially as younger collectors seek out affordable entry points into serious numismatics, with coins that still have room to grow in value and historical prestige. This coin is not just part of the past, it is part of the evolving story of American coinage, and a worthy addition to any collection. So the next time you come across a simple 1990 Jefferson nickel in your change, take a closer look, because what you might be holding is not just a coin, it is a chapter of American history, a legacy of design and a potential hidden gem waiting to be rediscovered.